Welcome everyone, I am Breakup Brad, and I've been posting breakup advice videos like this one here on YouTube for over 10 years now. And one of the things that I've noticed over and over again in the comment section of my videos is people saying things like, why would you want your ex back? Or, your ex is your ex for a reason. Now, I'm guessing that these people, stumbled across one of my videos by accident, but nonetheless, I've always found this idea that you should never get back together with your ex to be both ignorant and misguided. I mean, yes, your ex is your ex for a reason. That's absolutely true. But often in my experience, it's not for a good reason. People frequently break up for the wrong reasons. Now, of course, there are also many people who should not get back together with their ex. And in this video, I will touch on those situations, but I mainly want to help you decide for yourself if you should get back together with your ex. I'll help you figure out if your breakup happened for good reasons, for the right reasons, or whether you should fight to win back your ex and start over in a new, even better relationship. Because, there are plenty of good reasons why you should take them back. All right, let's start by talking briefly about what researchers have found when it comes to breaking up and getting back together. Now, one of the most prolific studies on this topic, which I've cited before in a few of my past videos, comes from a 2013 University of Kansas study. And researchers there found that roughly 50% of all couples in their teens and 20s had broken up and gotten back together at least once. Now, for older people, the numbers are slightly lower. A 2014 study published in the Journal of Science and Personal Relationships found that 37% of middle-aged couples who lived together had broken up and gotten back together. And for married people, the numbers are a bit lower still, but a full 1 in 5 married couples that were surveyed had broken up at least once in their time together. I've also seen, other numbers mentioned in various publications. One article I found a while ago cited a study that said 15% of people had broken up and gotten back together with their ex and were still together after 5 years. In other words, about 1 in 6 people are happily back with their ex and still together a full 5 years later. Now, I couldn't find the original research study for that number, but I will put the other citations in the description below if you want to, geek out on the science. But really, the most important thing here, the most important takeaway, is that breaking up and getting back together is completely normal, and it can lead to a successful long-term future together. And keep in mind that I didn't even get into, the number of times that the couple studied broke up and got back together. In some cases, a significant number of people surveyed had broken up and reconciled twice or more. So the research, does suggest there's plenty of reason to believe that you could be better off starting over with your ex than just accepting your breakup and moving on. Of course, in a minute, we'll talk about how to know whether you should fight for that second chance or if you're better off giving up. But you should at least know that, the research says there's no reason to believe people who say things like your ex is your ex for a reason, or, you should never get back with an ex. Before we get into whether your ex is right for you, I just want to quickly touch on one of the big reasons that people seem hesitant to get back together after a breakup. Embarrassment, shame, awkwardness, or negative stigma. Because a lot of people, especially older people, seem to believe that every breakup should be permanent and happens for, good, legitimate reasons. There tends to be a lot of negative stigma around just getting back together with an ex. Maybe your parents or friends will tell you to move on and that your ex isn't right for you. Maybe you're worried it'll be embarrassing or awkward to tell the world that you're getting back together. And, I'm not going to lie, for some people, especially if you told everyone you know about the breakup and, leaned on them for support in the first few weeks after breaking up, it could be a bit awkward or embarrassing when you first, have to tell those same people that actually you're now back with your ex. But, this isn't, in my experience or my personal opinion, a good reason not to consider getting back together. No one, despite how confident they might sound while talking about your relationship or your ex, knows what's truly best for you. Only you can decide, what the best path forward is. Only you and your ex know how special your connection was or how much you stand to lose by moving on and going your separate ways. So if you do decide, perhaps by the end of this video, that your ex is right for you and you're going to do everything in your power to get that second chance at a new relationship with them, that's what really matters. And any shame or embarrassment you might face from your friends and family is really just a minor inconvenience that probably shouldn't influence your decision. Now, if you want to know if you still have a chance to win back your ex, please take my free 5-minute quiz at breakupbrad.com/quiz. Answer a few questions and you'll get a score out of 100, breaking down your chances, along with some personalized recommended next steps to help you maximize your odds. Again, you can take that quiz for free after the video at breakupbrad.com/quiz. All right, now let's talk about a few clear-cut situations where I would not recommend you get back together with your ex. A lot of these might sound really obvious to you, but unfortunately, I sometimes have coaching clients who seem determined to get their ex back, even when all the signs point to it being a bad idea. So reason number one, any kind of abuse, emotional or physical. Obviously, if your ex was abusive, and you recognize this, I would strongly caution you against taking them back. While some people can and do change, most of the time, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there is some research to back this up. A partner who's abusive is very unlikely to change their behavior in the future if you were to get back together. So especially in the case of physical violence, it's just never a good idea to give them another chance. Really, you deserve better, and you need to move on from any ex who's been abusive. Reason number two, your ex cheated on you more than once. So for some people, cheating is a mistake that they make once and learn from. And, it's something that they'll never repeat. But for others, unfortunately, they're what I call serial cheaters. In other words, they're extremely likely to be unfaithful again in the future. And you're just going to end up having your heart broken again. So if your ex has only cheated on you once, that might be enough of a reason for you to never take them back. But on the other hand, if everything else about your relationship was perfect, then maybe you're able to forgive and trust that they've learned their lesson. That's got to be up to you to decide. However, in my experience, somebody who's cheated on you more than once is almost certain to do it again. It also speaks to their personality, more generally, and shows really how little they care for your feelings. So I would strongly recommend against taking your ex back if they've been unfaithful to you more than once. Reason number three is there's no realistic, practical way that you could ever be together long term. Now, this is a fairly rare one, but I have seen it from time to time. There are, some situations where you and your ex just have no realistic way to be together. So, for example, I had a coaching client last month who was from Finland, who just fell in love with a girl he met on a 6-month backpacking trip to Vietnam. So they stayed together long distance for a few months after he went home to Finland, but then she broke up with him. And he was desperate to get her back. But unfortunately, given all the circumstances and difficulties of ever, being together in the same place, it wasn't ever really going to work. She was far younger than he was. He was in the military and had to be deployed for months at a time around Europe. And she had, no way to get a visa to even visit him in Finland. And plus she had, disapproving parents and probably another guy on the side that my Finnish client wasn't aware of. So anyway, at the end of the day, there are some situations like this where maintaining a real long-term relationship just isn't ever going to be practical or realistic. And in that kind of rare situation, you need to really look in the mirror and ask yourself whether you should pursue such an unlikely and impractical relationship, or whether you're better off moving forward and finding somebody that you can be with long-term. All right, and that brings us to reason number 4. This is the 20th time you and your ex have broken up. I mean, it's totally possible that if you've already broken up and got back together with your ex several times in the past, that the next time, might be the magic charm and the last time you'll ever break up. But really, if you have already been through multiple breakups with this person, as in 3 or 4 times or more, you probably need to seriously consider whether this is just all going to happen over again in a few months' time. And reason number 5, if you never really had a spark or a special connection with your ex in the first place. Now, this probably isn't going to apply to most of you watching this video, because you probably do have a great connection with your ex and, truly loved one another. If you didn't, then giving up on your ex really wouldn't be so difficult. But of course, it goes without saying, if you never had much of a relationship in the first place, then there's obviously no sense in trying to win back your ex. It's only worth putting in the effort if this person is someone that you really loved and you had a deep and intimate connection with. Now, I want to make one final thing clear here before you move on. There are plenty of situations or scenarios where both you and your ex should stay broken up and go your separate ways beyond the ones that I just covered. Some of you watching this probably should just move on from your ex. So while this video is largely about the reasons why you should get back together, please don't get me wrong and think that I always recommend trying to win your ex back. There are lots of reasons to think about things carefully and really question whether your ex is right for you. Okay, now it's time to talk about some reasons why you should put in that effort to win back your ex and start over. There are a lot of reasons, but I'll focus on a few of the most important and meaningful ones. Starting with reason number 1, true love is rare and not easy to find. Now, I don't want to sound overdramatic, but a really healthy, happy relationship is actually not that common or easily found. I'm talking about the kind of relationship where you and your partner call one another, soulmates. That kind of really, truly intimate bond with somebody is rare. So if you and your ex had that kind of true love and deep connection, then you probably shouldn't throw it away without a very good reason. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mean to suggest that you won't ever be happy with anyone else other than your ex. I really don't believe in the idea that we all have, a single soulmate out there somewhere. But I do believe that a really deep bond and a loving, healthy relationship is really hard to find and should be cherished. So there's plenty of reason to fight to save that kind of relationship. And reason number 2 is that you and your ex made mistakes that led to a premature ending of your relationship. So in other words, if there was something or maybe a few things that led to the collapse of an otherwise healthy relationship that didn't need to end. So it could be something as big as cheating or lying, either on your part or your ex's, or it could be, a series of things. Letting your partner down one too many times, having a big fight that got out of hand and led to a breakup, or a pattern of, neediness, clinginess, and jealousy. Whatever it is, if there was one specific thing, or just a couple of specific things at least, that caused your otherwise excellent relationship to fall apart, then it's very possible or even likely that you could pick back up where you left off and continue to live happily ever after with your ex if you were to get back together. And that actually ties in nicely with the next one. Reason number 3, you and or your ex have changed or are willing and able to change. Now, this is a big one, ladies and gentlemen. If there was something that caused the collapse of your relationship, and you or your ex can commit to changing your behavior or the behavior that led to those problems, or at least reflect on what went wrong and ensure that things won't repeat themselves in the future, well, that gives way more hope for your future together as a couple. That means that self-reflection is important. Being willing to diagnose what caused the demise of your relationship and focus on actually fixing it or preventing it from happening again, that's really important. If you and your ex, or both of you, are unwilling or unable to change, if you can't figure out what went wrong or you can't come up with a way to fix it, then you've got a lot less hope for a healthy future together. If you can look in the mirror, assess how things fell apart, and address those problems so they don't plague any future relationship with your ex, well, then you have plenty of reason to be optimistic and really excited about a future together. And along the same lines, reason number 4, you have regrets. So if you know that you messed up in the past with your ex, if you know what you did wrong or how you needed to behave to keep your ex happy and your relationship strong, well, you're probably regretting that you never got the chance to make those changes. You'll regret not acting sooner, or not seeing the signs sooner, or just, taking your ex for granted. And that can play a big role in deciding that you should try to get another chance with your ex and get it right this time around. And reason number 5, your intuition or gut instinct tells you to win this person back. Now, this might actually be the biggest one, ladies and gentlemen, and perhaps the biggest piece of advice I can give to anyone watching. Trust your instincts. If you know that you let somebody truly special slip away, and you know that you could make it work next time around and be genuinely happy together and have a good chance at a lasting relationship, then that to me seems like a very strong reason to go after that second chance. Now, a lot of my coaching clients over the years have asked me, whether they should continue to pursue their ex. And of course, at the end of the day, that's not for me to decide. It's up to you, and it's a decision that only you can make. But there is one question that seems to be really helpful for many people in that situation. And that question is, do you miss your ex specifically, or do you just miss being with someone? In other words, when you're sitting alone at night feeling lonely and heartbroken, are you wishing more than anything that you could have your ex magically appear and take the pain away? Them, specifically rather than anybody else? Or do you just miss, being in a relationship generally? Having someone there with you by your side as a lover and a companion? Because there really is a big difference. If you miss your ex specifically, and all you can think about is that person and how much you wish they would come back to you, that's often a strong signal that it's worth pursuing a second chance with them. But sometimes, people in your shoes are mourning the loss of a relationship more than the loss of a specific person. After all, being in a committed relationship offers, a lot of benefits. Someone to confide in, to share your evenings and weekends with, to satisfy you sexually, and to show off to your friends and family. So if that is what you're really longing for, rather than your ex specifically, then you might not need or want to put in the effort to win back your ex. Because, finding somebody new will bring all those same benefits as your ex would. So, take some time to reflect on this question and be honest with yourself. If you decide that it's definitely your ex that you miss and not just being in a relationship or having someone by your side, then your path forward is probably pretty obvious. Unfortunately, really, that's the best guidance I can offer you. Because at the end of the day, like I said, the decision is ultimately up to you to make. Now, if you want to talk about your situation in more detail and get my ongoing help and guidance, you can always sign up for a month of my very affordable one-on-one coaching program at breakupbrad.com/coaching. I'd love to work with you and help you decide what's best for you and help you achieve, whatever goal you're working towards, whether it's with your ex or not. So please sign up today at breakupbrad.com/coaching if you want to begin working with me and get started today. All right, that's it for this one, folks. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope you'll consider subscribing and clicking the like button to support my channel and my work. Leave your questions and feedback in the comments below, and check out some of the related links to related videos that I put in the description as well. Huge thanks for watching, best of luck, and see you soon.